weekly Twitter space. As always, we're happy to have each of you here with us live. For those of you that will be listening into the recording, thank you for taking the time. I know everyone is busy. I do also want to apologize for not being able to host a space last week, but we'll make it up to you today, I promise. We really like engaging with the community, even if it's not live and you get to listen to our recording. It's a chance for us to speak about, our mission, vision, values, what we're working on, what the team is up to, pretty much where Amir is traveling in any hemisphere at any given time. But I'm glad he's, back on that side of the pond, safe and sound, but he does need some rest. This week, we've been testing our protocol's alpha version in-house. So I wanted to give a big shout out to our tech team. They're working very diligently, consistently. And so, there's a lot to be said on how hard they are working. We are working out the kinks and are very excited with what we've seen thus far with our alpha version of the protocol. While the tech team remained busy, the marketing side took part in an AMA with ScaleSwap and continued to make connections around the world, as I stated, thanks to Amir's travels. A quick side note, we'll be answering all of the questions from the ScaleSwap AMA throughout the week. We started last week, and this week we will answer questions from that ScaleSwap AMA surrounding Menthol Protocol's product. So stay tuned for that on our social media accounts. Our last space was focused on our values, how community plays an important role when building the ecosystem, and much more. We really highlighted the importance of community and, the Web3 as a whole. Today, once more, we'll focus on Web3, and we will also take a stab at tokenomics, and engage with everyone in that realm. So without further ado, Amir, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing awesome. I'm doing great. Looking forward to be at a speaker event in like 1.5 hours here in Berlin. So I think also with Avalanche and with a few other awesome people, and looking forward to that. But of course, I'm very much looking forward to our Twitter space now and the exciting topics we are about to talk about. So
terrific. Thank you.
Would you like me to jump over the first questions and start it this way, which we've been discussing? Sorry for having to ask.
No problem. I did, as I mentioned, we were going to talk about tokens, tokenomics, its integration within Web3, the importance of it, just some very high level. So for those that really don't understand token economics, if you'd like to shed your knowledge on that arena, which is vast, in your opinion.
Yes.
I guess I'm just going to ask you the question, what is tokenomics?
I got you. Great. We'll jump into that into more depth. But as a starter, a token plays a crucial, or should play a crucial role in a technological ecosystem, in a basically Web3 project. And I think we'll dive into that a bit more after talking about blockchain again a little bit, to understand exactly where it comes into place. It's like the token can be like, it's a technical perspective we have to have on it. It's also an economic perspective we have to have on it. Also specifically in respect of which stakeholders we have, which we're aligning around this Web3 project. What is the utility of the token is a often asked question in different ways, and has to make sense. So maybe before jumping more into the tokens and the tokenomics, maybe just an easy start again for those who join in and are new to the field of Web3 and blockchain, is maybe what got you inspired about blockchain in the first place, where this token, which we'll take a look at, plays a crucial role. Is that okay, Ashley, to direct that question to you as a
Sure. Yeah, definitely. And I think, my introduction to blockchain, I think I mentioned it before. But I had worked on government contracts here in the United States. So, I was writing RFPs, holding contractors accountable to, the qualities and standards to meet or exceed what they would state within a contract. And I think I mentioned it as well some time back that I was looking to automate this process. As everyone is aware, government contracts are lengthy. There's a lot of red tape. Things take a very long time to go through the chain of command, let alone leave your office. And so I had Googled smart contract, not thinking anything about blockchain, smart contracts, Web3, tokens, communities. And somehow the blockchain popped up in the Google search. And that's how I ended up within this whole Web3 ecosystem over time. And as I took a look, around that time, NFTs were sort of taking off, more of the Bored Ape approach to it, and never really understood tokens, from a basic beginner greenhorn. I just thought of non-fungible tokens as a picture. And I really had to educate myself over time. But to be completely honest, I'm not an expert in that realm. And so, when I sit on other Twitter spaces or I speak to other people within Web3, everyone asks, what's the utility of a token for a given project? Or, how can I use the token? What does it give me? And that's a question I hear so often. If I have a token for a said project, what do I get? And, it's so vast and every token is different. The economics behind a project's token is so different. Everyone has different utilities, different use cases, and, what they're essentially trying to achieve. And for me, with Menthol Protocol, our mission, vision, and values align with, what I think about when I think of regenerative finance, building communities, putting quality out there to save, our planet, Mother Earth. As you stated before, I don't know if I'm going to say this verbatim, Amir, but, Mother Earth is our main shareholder. And, anything we can do to save the planet is why I align myself in such circles within the Web3 space and regenerative finance. And that's how I ended up here. And that's how I started learning about tokens altogether, but more from a beginner's perspective a few years back.
Awesome. Thanks a lot for sharing, Ashley. I think that's always a good inspiration also for others to hear how one got into the topic and what were those things which captured you to stay in it. So I myself was also in the realm of digital business models, looking at it as a business and economics student. And there the platform economy was very interesting to look at different business models there. You've got the GAFA companies, or there was already a few name changings, but Google, Amazon, not Facebook anymore, but Meta and Apple, all of those different business models come together through a business model perspective as a multi-sided platform. And here blockchain technology, and what are multi-sided platforms, or how do they achieve a lot of strength in the market through network effects, through direct and indirect network effects, which allow them even sometimes to integrate very strongly with the users and create lock-in effects from an economic perspective. But also winner takes all models, where they basically, like Amazon, right, have a big share of the market where they go to. So having this perspective on different marketing things and stuff around it and sales, blockchain technology came as a disintermediator, basically meaning or holding the promise to take away those powers from those centralized platform structures in this context. That doesn't have to be a platform per se. It could even be a third party like a bank, right? This was a big promise of Bitcoin at the time. So coming from a technological business model perspective, the that's what captured me a lot, I would say, around the blockchain. But they all lead to one thing. It's like a community-driven, um, yeah, kind of rather public, therefore technology out there on which many people are building many cool things. And I think it's like a kind of a push, as I think when the internet was out there, and like let's say this approach towards like open structures and open source, building and sharing the technology together. This is also something which accelerates now, basically blockchain and Web3. So yeah, I was like reading about how to find applications for blockchain, as this is like seen as a new internet, which you can apply to all the fields, also to governmental contracts and optimizing the processes around that. So that's I think a really cool thing in general. Maybe to jump into the before jumping into the tokenomics, into what is a blockchain? Ashley, if I could throw a question back to you, what are the things which describe a blockchain to you? What, maybe as a small starter, I'll also answer the question and then jump to tokenomics. Okay.
Yeah, no problem. When I think of the blockchain, the first thing that comes to mind is just it's a ledger of sorts, and if I'm trying to depict it like in a picture, I just see a bunch of nodes, or let's say computers talking to one another. It's a peer-to-peer platform, if you will. As you mentioned, there's no middleman, right? We take away that third party. It's a transaction-based protocol, or blockchain as a whole. This is my understanding. Person in San Francisco wants to send digital currency to someone over in, let's say, Europe. And, I view the blockchain as, my understanding of it is just a ledger, peer-to-peer, utilizing nodes that, sprinkle the globe, and it gets rid of that middle party when making transactions peer-to-peer. And the blockchain, I think, was initially created for that purpose via Bitcoin and proof of work, but it has since evolved, and there have been so many use cases that have stemmed from that very initial white paper from Satoshi, and it has taken on a life of its own. And I think it has the possibility of creating another revolution. And I suffice it to say, I think the blockchain will play a very crucial role in climate change.
Thanks a lot, Ashley. That's a lovely explanation of blockchain and why and how it is important and can be important also to climate change and the climate action. So to sum it up, the different attributes which you just mentioned were that they're quite decentral, that it's a decentral technology, right? There are different nodes out there. Everybody can theoretically download, I don't know how much it is now, but maybe 220, 230, 250 gigabyte of information, and be a part of the Bitcoin network, having this information represent all transactions happening basically from block 0 to the current block. So it's a decentral technology instead of storing this data at a bank, right? The Bitcoin network holds the information, the transaction information from person A and person B, this and the amount of Bitcoin. So that's not stored at the bank, but decentral as described. So it's not only decentral, it's also cryptographic encrypted. This is a technology, not going further with a deep dive into it, which allows you as a user to have control over your platform, over your account, using this technology, this decentral technology. So although everybody has it, right, has this 250 gigabyte on information, you have a private key. If you talk about this one of many application areas of cryptographic encryption in blockchain, you have a private key and can access your funds, so to say, and can send money around. Only you can do that. So besides being decentral, cryptographic, like encrypted, there's also a consensus mechanism which has to come into play which basically was describing, as Ashley mentioned before, the synchronizing of those nodes, which are decentrally distributed. So for the reasoning of having a common consensus, which is correct, there are different incentives set. One consensus mechanism is proof of work, of which we heard a lot. Basically, Ethereum moved away right from proof of work to proof of stake. Ethereum is another blockchain technology with its cryptocurrency, also a utility token. We'll discuss that a bit later. I'm seeing already we've got 10 minutes time left, but we came to the point of talking about a token. So this third attribute I described of blockchain, besides decentralization and encryption, is this consensus mechanism, where in the Bitcoin example, it plays a role and basically pays money or gives a monetary incentive to those people supporting and validating those transactions, so that we synchronize them in a correct way. So they're like a protocol incentive in a strong utility. Besides, of course, if reading the paper of Satoshi Nakamoto, there are also a few other reasons why this token might be there. If we dive a bit deeper into it, we'll understand that blockchain technology enables different organizations and individuals to come together, different stakeholders. In the case of regenerative finance, also having Mother Earth as a stakeholder at the table. We basically come together towards forming a common goal. In the application of blockchain technology and climate crisis, it's about creating strong and scalable, as well as verifiable climate action. So the token may play different roles for the different stakeholders. And a question often asked, which Ashley explained, is what is the utility, what is the use case behind your token? Because as we know from the different ICOs, which were in 2017 very loud, and where we had like a strong bull run and then like a strong crash right at the end of 2017 or beginning of 2018, there were many ICOs where the token was used from projects who promised a lot of great things to happen, having a strong utility case, or maybe not even a strong utility case, but the people were not educated enough, and they received a lot of funds for those tokens, and they never came into play. So that's also one reasoning why now people are asking why you need a token, and what the heck are tokens, right? Is our question over here, and why do we need them at Menthol of this Twitter space? So we discussed like one use case in the looking at the consensus mechanism of proof of work for a token. Before jumping more into the tokens and how they're used here at Menthol, Ashley, if I can direct a question to you. So what are tokens for you, or like different use cases you'd like to mention, maybe before jumping into Menthol Protocol as a use case?
Sure, no problem. Tokens, I think they have numerous use cases. It really depends on the project and what that project's mission, vision, and value are. I think use and value are so crucial in tokens and how you put them out. It's kind of, not a pump and dump. You really have to provide value to your community. They're not just going to, want to buy into something that they have to fork up the money for, So I think, and the supply and demand side as well. I mean, there's so many avenues that a token can take, and that the value and utility that they provide. And also, the demand side is important. What are people looking for now? And again, what will they receive? If we just simply say, hey, purchase a token, you'll save the planet. The upside and the positive of tokens, in my opinion, is the transparency that they provide via the blockchain. And so I that's a loaded question, Amir. Thank you. So
great answer, because it's a complex one. So different perspectives we can take on it. Like, one very, very interesting concept besides like this consensus mechanism is that we kind of have a democratized access to this project in a way where also the consumer becomes kind of like a partner also of this project, right? So if you say, okay, I have to buy a few ETH, I need that for different reasons. We know of various reasons of people having Bitcoin in the early days, amongst other. But let's say you want to use and send a few funds via Ethereum and need therefore the token. There also has to generally be a use case if we look at other projects around over here. So like one point I want to mention, sorry for jumping off, is that you own also this project. You not only use it, you own it, because that's like the value store over here, which is derived out of the utility. So this concept of prosumer, I believe one calls it, like without looking into blockchain and Web3 and the stuff, this exists as a concept, the prosumer. So that's like a mix between the end user, let's say, and the producer. So this concept is like uniquely manageable or like lived by this technology, Web3 in general. So that's also like a cool thing. But as you rightfully said, there are so many different things to have in mind when you want to start talking about a token and why they're interesting. So if we jump down to Menthol Protocol, like we've got one case. We are like a governance token. That's one utility. So we're set up as a foundation and a Web3 native protocol, which has as the first two direct relationships on the left and right side, on the supply and demand side, Web3 partners. On the one side, Web3 refi tokenizers. Those are our like protocol partners looking at Menthol Protocol on the one side, who give access to tokenized impact tokens, which can be environmental or social, right? So on the other side, we tap into different L1s and L2s who have a reach out through their own dApp ecosystem, but who are also very aggressively working towards offering features towards non-Web3 B2B companies. However, our first contact points on the demand side are the L1s, L2s, following our strategy or vision and mission of making Web3 the first climate positive industry. So when jumping back to our token and us being a foundation, basically set up to allow a DAO to happen, where a lot of governance is happening through the tokens and token holders regarding parameters and how to change and further develop the platform. Those tokens have on the demand side also utility next to the governance, and the utility for the demand side is basically an access token. This is like a second utility you can attribute to Menthol Protocol's cool token. So what does access mean exactly? We have a different, like a set of services which we offer on Menthol Protocol. In short, we calculate your carbon footprint and on-chain emissions as a Web3 B2B or B2C project, or allow you to provide some further data on your company, for example, of how much you consumed as a whole company, including all air travels and off-chain emissions. So after us having this information on the carbon footprint, we allow you to tap into high-quality environmental projects through tokenized carbon credits and take responsibility for your carbon footprint. So we offer carbon neutrality or climate positivity as a service. In order to access this set of features, cool tokens are to be staked, which there are different ways to do so. So I'm just taking a look at the time. One way is that we do it as a protocol for our partners. The other possibility is that our partners do it directly and then can also take ownership into the admin functions of the user account and use their settings. And finally, also the community can unlock cool pools by staking cool token as an access, as an activator, say. So now we talked about two different utilities: the access utility of our token, giving access to Menthol Protocol, giving access to those user accounts, to those cool pools, and hence giving access to environmental friendly projects and taking responsibility. On the supply side, we will have a quality assurance utility we're thinking of, which is basically giving our suppliers the chance to vouch for their quality through the staking of a cool token. So in case anything occurs, we always have some commitment in some form there. That's how we want to also involve our suppliers in participating in the governance of Menthol Protocol, as this is a tool geared towards tokenizers of impact tokens. Unfortunately, I think we have to close this Twitter space today, as we've got in Berlin at 6 p.m. and have to jump off soon. But Ashley, maybe if you have no other further specific question, it's a hard cut over here, and we'll definitely also with our CTO and also the few others from our team have in more depth discussion of tokens and also blockchain and also Menthol Protocol, specifically in respect of tokens. Looking forward to that. Thanks for the great jam, Ashley.
Awesome. Thank you, Amir. And thank you to everyone who tuned in live. And for those that will listen to the recording a little later. But that should be it. And good luck at your live event tonight, Amir. And don't forget, rest is crucial.
Yes. Thanks a lot. Great session over here. And looking forward to the part 2 of this. Okay.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Cheers, everyone. Thank you for tuning in.
And also everyone who's here. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.